I was never supposed to live long. At least, that is what my family believed. My name is Amara, and I grew up knowing only two things: pain and survival. My father died when I was very small. They said he went hunting one evening and never returned. When they found him, he was lying lifeless, with no clear sign of what killed him. Some said it was an accident. Others whispered it was poison. I was too young to understand, but I saw how quickly people moved on, as though his death was not important. My mother tried to hold us together after that. She worked hard, selling food in the market, doing farm work, anything just to keep us alive. But sorrow ate her slowly. Her laughter disappeared, and soon, her body followed. I remember the day she closed her eyes for the last time. I called her name again and again, but she never answered. And just like that, I became an orphan. My uncle took me in, or so it looked to outsiders. People thought he was kind, but behind closed doors, I became nothing more than a servant. His wife made me fetch water before dawn, carry heavy firewood that bent my back, and cook food I was never allowed to eat from. When the rest of the family ate, I sat in the corner licking the burnt scraps from the bottom of the pot. I grew up wearing torn clothes while my cousins dressed well. I walked barefoot while they wore sandals. And when I was sick, no one cared. I learned quickly that tears were useless. So I kept my pain inside and told myself, Amara, endure. But as the years passed, instead of love, I received hatred. I could feel it in the way my aunt's eyes followed me. I could hear it in her sharp words, calling me useless, calling me cursed. Still, I worked hard. I remained quiet, and slowly, I grew into a young woman. My body filled out, my face changed, and people began to notice me. Some villagers said I was beautiful, that I reminded them of my late mother. Some said I was too good for the suffering I was in. And then, men began to show interest. They would stop me on the road, asking for my name, asking if I was betrothed. This only made things worse at home. One evening, as I washed plates in the backyard, I overheard my uncle and his wife talking. Their voices were low, but the words cut through the night like a knife. "This girl will overshadow our daughters," my aunt said bitterly. "Look how people talk about her. Look how the men look at her. Soon, she will outshine us all." My uncle grunted. "She even has land that belonged to her father. If she stays, when she comes of age, the chief may return it to her. That land should be ours. Then let us end it," my aunt hissed. "Let us bury her. If she dies, everything becomes ours." My heart stopped. My hands trembled as I dropped the plate I was washing. The sound made them pause, and I ran inside quickly, pretending to sweep. They didn't know I had heard. That night, I could not sleep. My heart beat fast, and I prayed silently, asking my parents' spirits to protect me. I wanted to believe they would not go that far. After all, I was still blood. But deep down, I knew. Blood can be colder than strangers. Days later, my uncle called me with a smile I had never seen before. His voice was sweet, almost gentle. "Amara," he said, "tonight we will honor your parents. We will go to the forest to make a sacrifice. You will stand with us, and they will bless you." My heart softened. Could it be true? After all these years, were they finally willing to remember my parents with me? For a moment, I felt hope. Foolish, foolish hope. That night, I followed them. The sky was dark, and the moon hid behind clouds. The road was silent except for the sound of our footsteps crushing dry leaves. We walked deeper and deeper into the forest, until the air itself felt heavy. Then I saw it, a hole, a deep pit dug into the earth. My uncle pointed at it. "Stand inside," he said. "It is part of the ritual." I looked at him, then at my aunt. Their faces gave nothing away. Slowly, I stepped inside. The earth was cold under my feet. Before I could ask what would happen next, they shoved me down. My uncle lifted a handful of sand and threw it over me. Then another, then another. At first, I laughed nervously. "Uncle, Auntie, is this really part of it?" But their faces were stone. Their eyes were fire. "Stay quiet," my aunt spat. "You should have died with your parents." I screamed, I begged, I cried, but the soil kept falling. First it reached my knees, then my waist, then my chest. I tried to climb out, but my uncle pushed me down hard. My aunt kicked more dirt into the pit. Please, I cried, I am your blood, please don't do this. But they only laughed. The soil pressed against my chest. It filled my mouth, my nose, my eyes. I could no longer scream. The night closed in, and I felt the weight of the earth crushing me. My breath grew short, my heart slowed, my world went dark, and just like that, I was gone. Or so they thought. When the earth covered me fully, I thought it was the end. I could no longer scream. The soil filled my mouth and my nose. My chest burned. I tried to breathe, but the more I struggled, the more the earth entered me. In that moment, I felt death pulling me close. I thought of my mother's smile, of my father's strong hands lifting me as a child. I thought of all the pain I had carried alone. My heart whispered, so this is how I leave the world, forgotten, unloved, buried like an animal. But somewhere deep inside me, a small fire refused to die. I do not know if it was strength, or anger, or the voices of my parents calling me. But as my body grew weak, I heard something. At first, it was faint, like the sound of wings above me. Then a scratch, then another, a bird, pecking, digging. My hands twitched, my fingers moved. I clawed at the soil with the last strength I had. My nails tore, blood ran down my arms, but I kept digging. The earth was heavy, crushing me, but every scratch brought a little air. A little hope. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, loud, wild, desperate. Thump, 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 the sound of life refusing to stop. The soil pressed harder against my chest. I thought my ribs would break. I thought my lungs would burst. But I kept pushing, clawing, fighting like an animal trapped in a cage. At last, I felt air. Cold night air, sharp against my bleeding fingers. I gasped, dragging it into my burning lungs. My head broke through the soil like a seed forcing its way into the sun. I lay there, half buried, half alive, coughing, shaking. My body was weak, but my spirit was awake. I crawled out, dragging myself onto the forest floor, covered in mud and blood. The moonlight fell on me, pale, broken, but alive. For a long time, I just lay there, trembling. My whole body ached, my throat was raw, tears and dirt mixed on my face. I whispered into the night, why? Why would they do this to me? And then, something inside me changed. The fear that once held me broke. The love I once had for them died in that grave. In its place, a fire was born. I rose slowly, staggering on my feet, my body weak but my spirit burning. I was no longer the quiet, humble orphan they could trample. No, I was something else now. Something they had created with their own evil hands. I did not walk back to the village immediately. My body was too weak, my skin torn, my voice cracked. I wandered through the forest for hours, drinking from streams, chewing bitter leaves just to stay alive. At night, I slept on cold ground, trembling, waking up from nightmares where I was still under the soil. But the longer I stayed alive, the stronger the fire inside me grew. I told myself again and again, Amara, you did not claw your way out of the grave to remain a victim. You came out for a reason. On the third night, I found myself standing at the edge of the village. From a distance, I saw the lights of the fires, heard the laughter of people, the beating of drums. Life in the village had continued as if I never existed. I began to plan. I asked myself, how does one return from the grave? How does one show the world that truth cannot be buried? The answer came to me in the dead of night, under the cold stare of the moon. I would not come back quietly. No, I would come back like the earth itself had sent me. I would come back like the dead returning for justice. The night I chose, the sky was dark, and the air heavy. My uncle and aunt held a small gathering at their compound. They invited neighbors, drinking, boasting, singing. I stood at the edge of the compound, covered in mud from head to toe, my hair wild, my eyes burning. My body was thin, weak, but I looked like a shadow of death itself. Slowly, I walked in. At first, no one noticed me. But then, one of my cousins looked up. His cup fell from his hand. His face drained of color. "Ghost," he screamed, pointing at me. The laughter stopped. All heads turned. Silence fell like a heavy cloth. My aunt's eyes met mine. She froze, her mouth open, her hands trembling. My uncle dropped his calabash, his lips quivering. I stood there, my voice hoarse but steady. "Did you think the earth could keep me? Did you think your evil would go unpunished?" Some neighbors screamed and ran. Others dropped to their knees, covering their faces. My uncle tried to speak, but no words came out. My aunt clutched her wrapper, shaking like a leaf. I took a step closer, my bare feet heavy against the ground. "The grave you dug for me," I whispered, "is waiting for you." I stood there in the center of the compound, covered in mud, my voice carrying through the silence. Neighbors who had gathered for the feast could not believe their eyes. Some whispered that I had returned from the land of the dead. Others swore that I was a spirit who came to take revenge. But I was no ghost. I was flesh, blood, and pain. I was the girl they buried, and the woman who had crawled out of the earth. My uncle stumbled backward, his hands shaking. This cannot be," he muttered, his face pale. My aunt fell to the ground, screaming, "It is her spirit. She has come for us." I stepped forward slowly, my voice steady though my body trembled. "No spirit," I said. "No ghost. I am Amara, the orphan you buried alive. The soil could not keep me. The earth rejected me. And now, all will hear what you have done." The neighbors gasped. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Some shouted in anger, others in disbelief. People ran to the chief's compound, calling him, calling the elders, calling the whole village to come and see. My uncle and aunt trembled, their eyes darting around as the whole village rose against them. The chief stepped forward, his staff striking the ground with authority. "Is this true?" he demanded. My uncle stuttered, She is lying. This is not." But before he could finish, one of the young hunters shouted from the back, "I saw them carrying her that night." I thought it was strange they went to the forest at that hour. "Amara," he said, "you have suffered more than any child should. You were wronged by the very people who should have protected you." Within moments, the place was full. The chief arrived with his staff of office, his eyes sharp as he looked at me and then at my uncle and aunt. "What is this I hear?" he demanded. I fell to my knees before him, tears mixing with the mud on my face. "Father of the land," I cried, "these people you see here." I fell to my knees before the chief, my voice breaking as I spoke. "Father of the land, these people buried me alive. They carried me into the forest, dug a pit, and covered me with earth. They left me to die so they could take my father's land. Seize them." My uncle and aunt cried out as the warriors held them down. They begged the crowd, but no mercy came. The land they tried to steal, the life they tried to destroy, all now stood against them. The chief faced the village and declared, "Let it be known today. Evil done in secret will always rise to the surface." Just as Amara rose from the grave they dug for her, the earth itself rejected their wickedness. He looked at me with soft eyes. "My child, you will not suffer again. Your father's land is restored to you. Your future will be protected by this council." That night, the villagers escorted me back to my father's compound, a place I hadn't stepped into since I was a small child. The moon was bright, and the wind felt warm, as though my parents were walking beside me. Women brought me clean water to bathe. Elderly mothers wrapped me in soft cloth, whispering prayers over my bruised skin. For the first time in my life, I felt safe. When morning came, the chief gathered the whole village again. He said, "Amara did not return to haunt the living. She returned to teach us that the innocent cannot be buried." The people cheered, some cried, some bowed their heads in shame for not noticing my suffering sooner. As I stood in front of them, clean, alive, reborn, I felt a strength inside me I never knew I had. I said, "I forgive, but I will never forget. My story will be a warning. No child should be mistreated. No orphan should be abandoned. and no wickedness will remain hidden forever. From that day on, my name changed. No longer Amara the orphan, no longer the girl buried alive. I became Amara the unbroken, the girl who rose from the grave, not for revenge alone, but to reclaim her life. And as the sun set behind the hills, I whispered to the wind, Mama, Papa, I survived. Thank you for listening to the end. Kindly subscribe and like. See you all in our next video.